fight's going to happen now. What was your feelings going into that as Usyk comes in?
Thank you.
Did you know how many people I boxed in front of at Wembley Stadium?
Sorry?
I boxed at Wembley Stadium?
Yeah.
Do you know how many people were there?
John Fury just lost his mind at a press conference and tried to physically attack Carl Hearn in front of cameras, security, and boxing legends. This wasn't your typical pre-fight theatrics or scripted drama for the cameras. Fury's eyes were blazing with genuine rage, his face contorted with fury, and for several terrifying seconds it looked like punches were about to fly. Security had to physically restrain him as he lunged forward, shouting and gesturing wildly at Eddie, who stood there calm as ice watching this meltdown unfold. The entire boxing world witnessed John Fury, father of heavyweight champion Hearn Fury, completely lose control of his emotions in what should have been a professional setting. And the craziest part, this explosion of rage wasn't even about his own fight. This was pure ego, raw emotion, and uncontrolled fury boiling over in front of everyone who matters in boxing. But here's where Froch absolutely destroyed Fury without throwing a single punch. While Fury was screaming, lunging, and making himself look like a complete amateur, Froch stood there with the composure of a seasoned champion who's been in real wars with real killers. Froch calmly stated that John Fury embarrasses himself and creates drama for absolutely no reason, pointing out that if things got physical, he was ready to handle it properly. And you know what's wild? Froch is absolutely right. John Fury looked completely out of control, like a man desperate for attention rather than someone genuinely intimidating. All that shouting and theatrical lunging just made him appear attention-hungry and unstable. Meanwhile, Froch's calm confidence sent a clear message to everyone watching. This is what real strength looks like. Not screaming and posturing, but quiet confidence backed by actual skill and experience. Now get this, Eddie Hearn, one of boxing's biggest promoters, watched this chaos unfold and had some serious words about what he witnessed. Hearn disagreed with how some people were defending John Fury's actions, pointing out that while defending yourself is one thing, storming a press conference like a madman makes you look reckless and desperate. Think about this for a second. Froch has seen every type of pre-fight drama imaginable. He's promoted the biggest names, the wildest personalities, the most heated rivalries in boxing. And even he was shocked by how out of line John Fury looked. H emphasized that creating this kind of chaos distracts from the actual boxing and makes Fury seem desperate rather than genuinely intimidating. When one of boxing's most powerful promoters is calling out your behavior as unprofessional, you know you've crossed a line.
He did nothing. He just made a of himself. Again, don't get me wrong, if it came on top and he came to my face and he tried anything, I'd have to defend myself.
And here's the kicker. Froch broke down exactly why John Fury's behavior was so laughable, and his analysis was absolutely brutal. Froch pointed out that defending yourself is completely different from acting like a fool, comparing it to how proper fighters handle real threats with composure and intelligence. But Big John Fury? This man hasn't fought professionally in decades, and it shows. He's all talk, all bluster, all theatrical, charging forward, trying to intimidate people who have actually been in life-or-death situations in the ring. Froch's assessment was ice cold. John Fury looks reckless and laughable rather than like a real threat. And you can't argue with that logic. Here's a guy who's never faced the pressure of a world title fight trying to intimidate a former world champion who's been through wars with Karl Kessler, Mikkel Kessler, and Andre Ward. The contrast couldn't be more obvious.
Running his own YouTube channel and sort of criticising stuff, you know, I think his comments about the Saudi stuff and the atmosphere, I don't really get it. Like, we know that the atmosphere is not as good as it is in the UK or in Phoenix for a big Mexican fight, but it's an emerging market. And
But wait, it gets even more embarrassing for John Fury. Johnny Nelson, former cruiserweight world champion and respected boxing analyst, highlighted the serious consequences Fury faces if he loses control like this again. Nelson wasn't just talking about looking foolish on camera. He pointed out that Fury's actions could be costly both financially and reputationally. Think about the legal implications, the potential lawsuits, the damage to his son's career and brand. Nelson made it crystal clear that he sees Fury's outburst as completely unnecessary drama that serves no purpose except feeding Fury's ego. And while Fury was having his meltdown, Froch stayed calm and composed throughout the entire confrontation, proving that experience beats hot-headed antics every single time. This is the difference between someone who's actually been tested under pressure and someone who just talks a big game.
Hey and Derek Chisora at the press conference, when Chisora came to David Haye, and David Haye put a right hand and a big left hook elbow onto the chin. That's what you've got to do. If somebody's coming to you and coming into your face, you've got to defend yourself. When you've got nowhere else to go, you've got to let the shots go. And if Big John Fury, the fighting man, who's never had a fight in his life, not for the last 20 years anyway, if he comes for me looking for some aggro...
Listen to this part, because it gets absolutely wild. Big John Fury started boasting about his authority and insisting that nobody can challenge him, acting like he's the center of the boxing universe. But honestly, it came off as desperate posturing from a man who's trying to stay relevant through his son's success. Fury claimed he built the entire story around Tyson, which only made him look more egotistical rather than commanding any real respect. Meanwhile, Froch remained calm and measured throughout this entire spectacle, clearly outshining this theatrical nonsense with actual professionalism. The contrast was stark. You had one man desperately trying to prove his importance through volume and aggression, while the other demonstrated real confidence through composure and control. Guess which one looked more impressive to everyone watching?
And if he does it again and he's over, he's going to get fined again. And I don't know if it's by the pound, by the ounce, what he's getting fined for, but it's an
Now here's where John Fury's antics crossed into pure absurdity. The man started flaunting and posturing in such a ridiculous way that it didn't intimidate anyone. Instead, it made him look desperate for attention, like someone who knows his 15 minutes of fame are running out. While Fury focused on these childish theatrics, Carl Froch remained the picture of calm professionalism, proving that measured responses always win over loud, chaotic posturing. Think about what people will remember from this press conference. Will they remember John Fury as intimidating and powerful? Or will they remember him as the guy who lost his cool while a real champion stood there unbothered? The answer is pretty obvious, and it's not good for Fury's reputation.
I just want to tell him that, you know what, you can't knock me, mate. Disrespect me and I'm going to take the job over. I don't care who it is. You disrespect me and I'm taking the job over. And nobody can stop me, because I got a right to be there because I'm his father. I'm not some idiot. If it wasn't for me, who built the full story around him, what would there be? I'm a big player.
But here's what makes this even more interesting. Carl Froch later pointed out that John Fury's behavior went way beyond normal posturing and actually felt genuinely threatening. This is coming from a man who's faced some of the most dangerous fighters in the world, so when he says someone crossed the line, that means something. Froch showed incredible composure while highlighting the recklessness of Fury's loose threats, and this moment proved his mental strength and professionalism. He stood firm under pressure, while Fury's chaos only exposed his complete lack of control and judgment. For a former world champion to acknowledge that someone's behavior felt threatening, while still maintaining his composure, shows the level of class and experience we're dealing with here.
Father of the king of the world. I think he's referring to Tyson Fury. You know, when you have kids, you know, most people, when they want to talk about their children, they might pull their mobile phone out and show a few pictures. Big John just shows you his balls. That's where they came from. If there's anyone who needs a Manscaped advert, it's fucking John Fury. Always on about the balls.
And get this, Eddie Hearn had to highlight just how completely out of control John Fury's behavior had become. The fact that security might need to physically separate him from Carl Froch shows that Fury was more focused on intimidation and creating drama than having any kind of reasonable discussion. Froch, in stark contrast, didn't need theatrics or threats to command respect in that room. His calm, calculated presence proved that experience and true professionalism beat reckless aggression every single time. Fury's over-the-top antics only created chaos and drew negative attention to himself, whereas Froch quietly demonstrated real authority and control. The entire boxing world could clearly see who was truly composed under pressure, and it wasn't the guy screaming and lunging at people.
and quite, you know, if I was a bit of a snowflake, then I'd have been upset. I'd have been offended by it because he was threatening, he was calling it on, and he was saying basically, watch your back, and you don't want to go back to prison. So he needs to be careful, doesn't he? When he's talking about going back to prison. So he's putting loose threats out there.
Hold up, because this gets even more embarrassing for John Fury. Adele Altador pointed out the sheer recklessness of Fury charging forward like a madman, noting that it was unclear whether he actually intended to attack someone or just make a scene for the cameras. But here's the thing. The result was pure chaos either way. This kind of behavior doesn't inspire fear in people who matter. It invites ridicule and damages credibility. Meanwhile, Carl Froch stayed composed and professional throughout the entire ordeal, handling the situation with dignity that comes from real experience. Fury's impulsive theatrics might entertain casual fans looking for drama, but in the eyes of true boxing enthusiasts and professionals, it exposed him as loud, undisciplined, and desperate for attention. Froch's calm approach proved that real authority and respect in boxing come from skill and composure, not empty posturing and meaningless threats.
You honestly think if these two come together like this, well, you know what's going to happen?
So what are you going to...
I'm going to keep them apart by a wall of security.
Now listen to what Frank Warren, one of boxing's most respected promoters, had to say about this mess. Warren criticized the completely unnecessary chaos that John Fury brought to what should have been a professional press conference. He pointed out that the focus should be on the actual fights and the athletes, not on theatrical intimidation tactics that serve no purpose. Fury's behavior completely overshadowed the real story and made him look unprofessional in front of everyone who matters in the sport. Carl Froch, on the other hand, remained the perfect model of composure and maturity throughout this entire spectacle. While Fury's antics might create headlines and social media buzz, they do absolutely nothing to enhance his credibility or respect within the boxing community. Warren's reaction underscores how true professionals see right through empty posturing and value substance over style.
Being John Fury went straight for him. I'm not quite sure what he was going to do if he got to him, but I guess that was the entertainment from the press conference.
But here's where it gets really interesting. John Fury claimed he was only demanding respect, yet his words and actions came across as completely egotistical and overbearing to everyone watching. Demanding attention and authority without earning it through actual accomplishments makes someone appear desperate rather than admirable. His obsessive fixation on making everything about himself completely overshadowed any legitimate boxing discussion that could have taken place. Carl Froch, by contrast, let his actions and measured words speak for themselves. While Fury was busy shouting and demanding recognition like a child throwing a tantrum, Froch demonstrated that real respect is earned through skill, composure, and professionalism developed over years of actual competition. Fury's public tantrums might make headlines and generate clicks, but they systematically erode his credibility with people who actually matter in boxing.
Finger, well, guess what? I ain't standing for it. And I want no money. I want nothing. I don't want any fame. I fuck sweet all. What I want is some respect put on the back of my name. That's me dad. He deserves a chair. He deserves a mention. But he's blinded with all this bullshit, isn't he?
Here's what Johnny Nelson observed about this entire situation, and his take was absolutely spot on. Nelson suggested that John Fury's antics may have completely backfired because Carl Froch remained calm, ready, and fully aware of how to respond to any escalation. Sure, Fury stirred up the crowd and generated buzz on social media, but excitement and drama alone don't win respect from serious boxing people. Froch's composed, strategic mindset contrasted sharply with Fury's impulsive, emotional behavior throughout the entire confrontation. While Fury thrives on spectacle and attention-seeking theatrics, Froch proved that preparation, skill, and measured reactions define what a true professional looks like. Nelson acknowledged the chaos and drama that Fury created, but he also hinted that Froch's controlled strength and mental composure gave him the clear upper hand in this situation.
I'm fine because I'm quite sure Carl's going to rip the life out of John after today. I think John did a job. John did a job and got the excitement going, got people talking. That's exactly what he did.
And here's the moment that really exposed John Fury's complete lack of discipline and self-control. Reports suggest Fury actually struck someone at this press event, which isn't strength or intimidation. It's pure lack of discipline and professional control. Froch, in complete contrast, didn't need to escalate anything because he commands attention through his composed presence and decades of actual experience. Fury's impulsive behavior brings nothing but potential fines, legal controversy, and public ridicule from people who matter. Every aggressive move he makes in anger highlights ego over intelligence, whereas Froch stays composed and thinks strategically about every response. Anyone watching this unfold can clearly see who has the real mental edge, and it definitely isn't the man lashing out like a frustrated amateur. Froch continues to prove that composure, professionalism, and measured responses are far more powerful than uncontrolled theatrics.
Actually, so there will be an appeal taking place. So that fine could be reduced or it could be increased. It goes in front of a completely independent appeal.
Adam Smith's analysis of this situation perfectly illustrated the stark contrast between these two men. John Fury thrives on chaos, loud posturing, and attention-seeking antics, always trying to dominate every room with aggression and theatrical behavior. Carl Froch, by complete contrast, doesn't need to shout or make threats to prove any point or establish his credibility. He commands genuine respect effortlessly through composure, intelligence, and hard-earned experience from years of elite-level competition. While Fury's behavior might entertain casual fans and generate social media headlines, it exposes a fundamental lack of discipline and maturity to anyone paying close attention. Froch demonstrates the rare skill of remaining completely calm under intense pressure, thinking strategically while others react impulsively and emotionally. It's crystal clear to anyone watching objectively that Froch represents true professionalism, and every interaction only reinforces that real authority in boxing comes from proven mastery and mental strength, not loud theatrics or empty threats designed for attention.
Do know is that John Fury and Carl Froch on the cobbles will be fun. I think they both have a good fun doing that, but I'm sure it's all fun and games. They like to say what they...
Spencer Oliver's reaction showed just how much chaos John Fury creates wherever he goes, reportedly charging at multiple people including boxing legends like Lennox Lewis. This is completely reckless behavior disguised as intimidation, and it fools absolutely nobody with real boxing knowledge. Froch doesn't need to resort to such desperate theatrics because he maintains calm, measured control, and lets his actual skill and proven presence do all the talking. Fury's aggressive behavior might intimidate casual observers at first glance, but it's ultimately predictable and exposes his fundamental lack of composure under pressure. Froch's mental strength was evident throughout this entire situation, as he didn't respond to obvious provocation, but instead observed, planned, and controlled the narrative like a true champion. Fans watching closely could clearly see who represented genuine professionalism and who was simply acting out for attention. And Froch's ability to stay completely calm under intense pressure reinforces exactly why he's respected and legitimately feared in the boxing community.
To say something that's controversial, and they're two big characters, and we love having them around.
Even Shane Fury's words exposed the reality behind his father's embarrassing behavior. Talking tough on social media is one thing that anyone can do, but acting impulsively in person shows deep insecurity and a complete lack of self-control when it matters. John Fury's confrontational style creates temporary spectacle and social media moments, but it does absolutely nothing to inspire genuine respect from people who understand boxing. Carl Froch, on the other hand, thrives on calm intelligence and proven mental strength, handling threats with dignity and natural authority that comes from years of elite competition. Fury's constant theatrical antics only make him look desperate for validation and relevance, while Froch demonstrates that real power comes from measured responses and earned professionalism. Watching this entire situation unfold, it becomes completely obvious who is truly in control of themselves and the situation, and who is just making noise for attention.
Cobra, mate.
Really?
The Cobra's dangerous. He's still in shape, 48 years of age.
John standing over there behind you.
You got to go with John Fury. Yeah, no, it kicked off a little bit. But it wasn't only Carl Froch that he went into either, did he? He actually went into Lennox Lewis as well. He started steaming into Lennox Lewis a little bit, and I go, whoa, who wins that one?
So here you have it. The showdown between John Fury and Carl Froch was way more than just a press conference confrontation. It became a masterclass in composure versus chaos, strategy versus impulse, and genuine strength versus theatrical posturing. John Fury may have grabbed headlines with his antics, thrown meaningless threats, and created temporary social media buzz, but none of that translates into real boxing credibility or respect from people who actually matter in the sport. Carl Froch stood out as the true professional throughout this entire mess, with his calm demeanor and measured responses proving that experience and intelligence always outweigh impulsive aggression and attention-seeking behavior. This confrontation exposed everything you need to know about both men. One relies on volume and theatrics to stay relevant, while the other commands respect through proven skill and unshakable composure. Boxing world clearly saw who wanted attention and who actually deserved respect. So here's my question for you. Whose approach do you think is more effective in earning real respect in boxing? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know if you're Team Fury's chaos or Team Froch's composure. If this breakdown helped you see what really happened behind all the drama, smash that like button, subscribe for more boxing analysis, and hit the notification bell because more wild confrontations are coming. I'll see you in the next one.
Seems to be like you can talk about someone online and do videos, but not expect someone to say anything when you see someone. So I don't know. Listen, my dad's got his ways and his points, and 90% of the time he's half right, but